Hey, what's going on, guys? So ahead of the brand new Master-Grade Zeta Ver.1.0 that is on the way, I thought I would go back and take a look at some of the past Master-Grade Zeta kits because I haven't built any of the standard Zeta kits in the Master-Grade line. I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at some of the past versions, so that way when we get the new Ver.1.0, we can take a look at some comparisons and just kind of see how the Master-Grade Zeta has evolved through the years. So we're first going to be taking a look at the Zeta Master-Grade 1.0 in this review. This kit was one of the very first Master-Grades to ever come out, all the way back in 1996. But just to let you know what else we're going to be taking a look at in the next couple months before the Ver.1.0 arrives, we also have the Zeta Plus C1 I'm going to be taking a look at. I know this is a variant, but it'll be interesting to see if this is sort of like a 1.5, kind of between the 1.0 and the 2.0, just in terms of its technology. This kit came out in 2002. And then of course we'll be taking a look at the 2.0, which obviously is going to be the closest to what we're going to be getting with the Ver.1.0, and we'll see just how close they are in terms of the technology in those. This one came out just a couple years after the Zeta Plus in 2005, so this kit is also pretty old now, almost 20 years old on its own. I know there's a lot of mixed opinions about this one, so we'll get to that. We're also going to be taking a look at a very cool Zeta archive book, but that's all in videos upcoming over the next couple months. For now, let's go ahead and get right into the Zeta Master-Grade 1.0. Alright guys, so we'll start off taking a look at the box art here for the Master-Grade 1.0 Zeta Gundam. It's got that classic old MG style box art here with like a 3D computer graphic sort of image of the Gundam. But I gotta say, it doesn't look too bad at all. It definitely looks better than some of the old Master-Grade kits cover arts. I think the style of this artwork is really fitting for the Zeta Gundam's design. And then down here at the bottom, you can see a couple of their mobile suits from the series. Really tiny there in the background. You got the Hyakushiki, the Mark II, and a couple of Rick DS there. It's pretty cool. You'll also notice that release date of 1996 for this one, so over 20 years old, well over 20 years old now. Taking a look at the end of the box here, you can see it's not terribly thick, but this size of box is different from most of the size we see now. So as far as I know, Bandai doesn't often make this particular size of box anymore, so it's smaller than the kind of standard Master-Grade size box nowadays anyway. Taking a look over here on this side, we've got the front view and rear view of the kit, how that's going to look when it's all painted up and decaled up, you'll notice. Over here we have the head, the shield, the stabilizer, the weapon, the Hyper Mega Launcher included with this one. We're still not sure if that's going to be included with the Master-Grade Ver.1.0 yet or not. We'll have to see. I'm thinking it's not going to be included, but we'll see. Cockpit, grenade, and side armor is all here as well. Around on the other side, here's a nice look at how it's going to look. Profile view in Wave Rider mode. Side view there, a couple of little details, heavy user parts. Oh, I guess this is probably going to be some of those little parts that used to be included in Master-Grade kits that they don't include anymore. We'll check that out once we get the box opened up. Landing gear here, you've got that bottom view, top view of the Wave Rider mode there. And the list price, something they don't put on boxes anymore, but the list price here was 3,000 yen for this guy. Not too bad for a Master-Grade. How times have changed. Let's go ahead and get it opened up. Here's another thing that is so nice about the older Master-Grades that newer Master-Grades unfortunately don't have anymore, is this insert on the inside that gives you a really nice big image here of a photograph of a fully painted and finished version of the model kit. That looks great. But you'll notice something even more interesting here on the back. This is something I don't know if I've ever seen before. This must have been only in like some of the very first Master-Grades. There's also stuff printed here on the back. So this is some of that like technical drawings and stuff that you see in some of the old Master-Grades in the manual, but I've never seen it on the back side of the insert inside here, which is pretty interesting. So we got technical drawings there, sketches of some of the armor, of the head, of the mobile suit itself there, version 1 and version 2. I guess these are different versions of the design of the Zeta Gundam. All interesting stuff. Our manual here, so it's got the line art there, the profile of the Zeta Gundam's head. Here on the back side is the back side of the Gundam. It's the opposite view of the insert right there. Now let's see what kind of interesting stuff we have here on the inside. Some beautiful line art there. All the information is all going to be in Japanese here, of course, but line art front and back of the Zeta Gundam. Definitely not what the kit looks like, so that's a different version of line art there, but there it is in Wave Rider mode. Here we got some more 3D rendered imagery here of the Gundam, which would be like what we got on the front of the box. A breakdown here of what all the parts of the mobile suit are and the weapons there. That's again all in Japanese, but easy enough to translate most of that. Then when you get into our parts list here, and then on into the construction. So let's see just kind of what other good stuff we have in here. Well, here we have some more about the body unit, some more line art sketches there of the head of the Gundam, down here of the structure. Get in for a real nice close-up on that. I know those of you guys who are into this style of artwork here, seeing the Gundam all broken down like that, to see all the internal structures and everything, that's some pretty golden imagery there. Beautiful. You love to see it, and you hate that it's not included in newer Master Grades anymore. Here on our center pages, we've got some documentary photographs here of the kit and a few different poses and stuff about the Z Project, Beam Weapon, Wave Rider. Down here a little bit more about the Wave Rider. Detail up, and a painting guide is there for you. Pretty standard Gundam colors here for this one, obviously. Got some more artwork here on the next page of the Wave Rider mode. So man, it seems like half of the manual, if not more, is just artwork and like description, text information about the Gundam. Here we got some information about the weapons as well. The grenade, the beam rifle, beautiful artwork here. The next to the last page here is going to be our decal guide. And then the transformation system is what's going to be last, including some more artwork down here of the Zeta Gundam going through its transformation. So that just goes along the bottom there all the way to the end. Very nice. With that, let's go ahead and check out the runners. Alright, so if you thought it's been interesting so far, just wait. But first off, here is our polycaps for the kit. Very many of them just here in gray. This is PC117 for your guys' reference. Here's our foil stickers for the kit, including the ones there for the eyes, and then basically just a bunch of little yellow bits overall. Also got some sticker decals. These are going to be in red, yellow, white, and black. And then dry transfers, another thing that has kind of gone by the wayside in most modern Master Grades, but some dry transfer decals there for you guys. And our mechanical components here, springs and LED and screws for the LED unit. Yes, that's right, there's an LED unit with this, and you would think it would be for the head, but it's actually for the stabilizer in the backpack. So hopefully that we can get that working, we'll see. And while we do have a 4-color runner here in the box, it's not runner A here. Runner A is just all of our white parts for the kit. And it does seem to be in a very slightly off-white, like slightly bluish greenish tinted. Runner B1 is going to be a bunch of parts here in dark navy for the kit, and then we do also have runner B2, which is going to be a copy of this section right here. Runner C1 is a smaller runner here with just a few bits on there, including parts for the landing gear. Runner C2 is much larger, however, these are both in a medium gray color. There's some parts for the weapons on there, obviously, as you guys can see. Runner D is going to be all of our blue parts for the kit. That blue is looking very bright, and even brighter yet, runner E with all of our red parts on there. Also, that very nice old style red. Runner F is in ABS plastics. This is going to be all of our ABS parts for the internal frame here in gray. Runner G here is interesting. This is our 4-color runner for the kit. We've got our clear pink beam saber effect parts up there, very nice. Some yellow over here, some more white armor pieces, and then some clear parts down here. Then we've got runner H1, which is another set of V-fin parts, but this is in a soft plastic, sort of similar to our polycap, something that they used to do in a lot of the older Master Grades, but not anymore. For a transforming kit like this, it definitely could be useful if you end up breaking your V-fin part, or if you just want to use these in the first place, because these are much less likely to break. Runner H2 is going to be our hand parts, at least our open hands and our closed fist hand parts here for the kit. This is also in a softer material. And then runner I is some parts for the stabilizer with some decals pre-printed on the plastic, something I'm not sure if I've seen on a Master Grade kit in a long time. So that is pretty cool, and definitely not something you're going to see on any Master Grades these days. But alright guys, a lot of interesting stuff there. Let me go ahead and get this Master Grade 1.0 Zeta Gundam all built up, and then we'll see how it looks. Alright guys, so here is the kit all built up, and for a 27-year-old Master Grade, it doesn't look too bad. I gotta say, there's definitely a lot to like about this kit, and while there's definitely pros and cons, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of improvement with the later versions, I certainly couldn't say that this version is completely without merit. But let's go ahead and get into it, and we'll go through everything in detail. The first thing that I want to point out is just that I didn't put any of the foil stickers on. Now, I'm not sure when this kit was actually produced, if this was part of the original 1996 run or later, but it's old enough that the adhesive on the foil stickers is just not working well. I tried putting the eye stickers on there and they just didn't want to stick, so wasn't able to use these. But as you can see, it's mostly little yellow accent details that you're missing aside from the eyes. And so if you wanted to just go ahead and paint those details in, all you need is just a little bit of yellow paint, so that's pretty easy. But there is a clear part there for the eyes and the head camera on the front. The head camera on the back, there's no clear part there, but that detail is just molded in. But aside from those missing little bits of yellow all over the kit is pretty nicely color separated. You have like the yellow parts for the vents and all the blue and red details. Everything for the most part is well represented here in just plastic parts, and you do have a good amount of detail overall on the kit. It's not necessarily overly detailed, and on the other hand, there's not areas that feel like it's particularly lacking in detail. I think the balance of detail that it has just on the armor is quite nice. That said, one thing you will notice is that there is a lot of seam lines. So seam lines on the front of the leg, on the top of the foot, seam lines here on the arms, on the shoulders, on the head. That seam that I can't quite get the front and back half of the head to be pressed together firmly. Not too surprising that a kit of this age would have a lot of seam lines on it and mold lines as well, but probably the most difficult problem that you're going to have to work around would just be the use of polycaps. Now, for example, we have polycaps for the hands, or polycap material style plastic here for the closed fists, as well as these open hands that you have included with the kit. So it's great to have those options in there, and I think they look nice, but the fact that they're made of that polycap material is just not really ideal. Now, what you have for your weapons holding hands are articulated hands here. And as you'll see with these, the thumb and first finger are just a one solid piece connected via a ball joint. The second and third and fourth fingers are molded together with a joint, a little hinge there, and those are connected via a single ball joint there as well. So these are going to be a little bit wonky, but those are your weapon holding articulated hands. Other questionable use of polycaps would be here in the forearm. So that elbow joint right there, the top part is a piece of ABS plastic, the bottom part is an exposed polycap there, so that's not really ideal. And then a background here for the backpack. The way that these side wing parts are attached onto here is via a polycap right there. And so the way that they're attached on is solid enough, and I don't feel like they're gonna fall off, but they're also not able to stay up without kind of falling down like that, resting down, just because of the way that the polycap is used in there. So if you want these backpack parts to kind of stay up and vertical like that, they're not going to stay like that for very long before they start to kind of droop and sag down, and they're just going to end up kind of looking like that, which is not quite right. Otherwise, and we'll see what other further stability issues may arise just through posing the kit and its transformation. Aside from that, I think proportionally and just the overall look of the kit, I think is quite good. And you guys can let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, because this is completely subjective, but I think the proportions of it really are quite nice. A lot of older kits from the 80s and 90s, you know, don't really have quite really ideal proportions aesthetically for kind of, you know, a more modern look. And some people may prefer that older aesthetic, but I think most people prefer the more modern styling that we have for a lot of Gundams. But those old kits had some pretty wonky proportions. This one though, I feel like overall is really quite nice. Maybe the head is maybe a little bit big, the shoulders here maybe a little bit small. Other than that, I mean, I think it's a pretty good looking kit. Obviously it's going to take a little work to look its best, but it doesn't look too bad at all. Before we get into the rest of the accessories, here's just a few of the extra detail parts that you have. So these are little bits that are meant to go on the nose cone of the shield. You have these little detail fins that can go on the chest, or really just kind of around anywhere, but they're meant to be on the chest, I believe. And then you have these little clear parts which are meant to go in certain areas of the kit to look like lights on the kit. So that's something that you can add on, and you can either paint those with a clear color paint, or you know, maybe put an actual LED underneath those parts if you wanted to do a little bit more heavy modification. This right here is the clear part for the camera in the rifle. Our beam rifle is molded in just two colors. You have that dark blue and the gray for some detail there, so that clear part would go up in there for the camera. All the parts that are meant to fold on this rifle work accordingly, so that's meant to fold forward. Also, the front of the rifle collapses down like that, like it's supposed to. You can see our connection point here for connecting that onto the kit once it's transformed. We also have a set of the grenade launcher canisters, pretty simple, that just plugs onto here, onto the side of the arm. And the little door for the grenade launchers here in the forearm will open up like that, so you do have that nice little bit of detail in there. We of course have our set of beam sabers that look like that, but when not in use, the beam saber handles can be stored in the side skirts. If you open this up, you'll see there's a little bit in there. Plug that in and then close that up and your handles are stored in there. Very nice. We have the shield, which will plug onto the arm in a similar way, but this is another questionable use of polycaps, as that's 2 polycaps there for the connection at the top, and then this connection to the arm is a polycap, and then it's plugging into a polycap in the arm. So anytime you have polycaps plugging into polycaps, it's just never really a good idea. Also, I can't seem to get it so that this will like stick, so that this part isn't just kind of loose on there. It's on a track to be able to transform that for the transformation. And it seems like it's kind of meant to click into place, but it doesn't. That said, when it's on the Gundam, it's going to be held like this, and this connection is going to be on there, so it's not going to be a problem. But overall, I mean, the size, shape of the shield I think looks pretty good. It's just that the connection is a little bit weird with it being, including a lot of polycaps in there. We then of course have the Hyper Mega Launcher, which measures out to be over 24 centimeters in length, so pretty nice. Of course, you're going to have a lot of seam line on this, a couple of little bits as well, like these little parts right on here, this one sticking up there, and this one right in there seem kind of loose and seem like you're probably just going to want to glue those in place. The only reason you might not want to is that because the reason that those are kind of loose is because they have landing gear alternatives. So if you want to have the kit transformed in its Wave Rider mode with the Hyper Mega Launcher on the bottom of it, and then in like a parked state, landed state, you have landing gear for that. So these ones come out of there, and then this piece up here at the front you'll replace with this bit of landing gear like that. For the mobile suit itself, without the Hyper Mega Launcher on there, you do have these parts of landing gear which will replace pieces from the kit itself. Those are nicely detailed if you did want to use those. But the Hyper Mega Launcher, aside from just some nasty seam lines, does everything that you would expect it to do. These side parts fold out like that, and you have the side handles there a little bit loose. These parts are, and that's kind of one of the very few like exceptionally loose parts of the kit, to be honest. The handle underneath can also be folded up. You can close that up. Again, that's for when it's transformed. But otherwise, I mean, it looks great. Detail-wise, it's a really nice, big, giant, hefty weapon. And of course, we have our little tiny standing pilot figure here, and option parts for the V-fin. Now you'll notice the V-fin that I have on there now is the correct colors, red and yellow, but this is the softer type V-fin. If you want to use the hard plastic type, or like the regular polystyrene plastic V-fin, that's what these are made out of, the transformed and untransformed versions of those. But as you can see, the center part, which is supposed to be red, is just molded together with these. So these are in the preferred plastic, but they're not color separated. This one, which is transformable, you can fold this up for the transformation, is color separated, but it's in that softer type plastic, unfortunately. And on that note, let's talk a little bit about the articulation before we take a look at the kit transformed. So the head will go all the way up to there, which is not too bad at all the way down to there. Here in the shoulders, forward and back movement is going to be pretty limited, as in like almost non-existent there for that. This little flap here on the side of the shoulder will move up and down, as well as this guy, but again, that's kind of for the transformation. The arm itself will go out to about 45 degrees. I don't think that I can bring the arm up too much more than that. It seems like we have some rotation at the top of the bicep, and then you would have rotation here at the elbow joint as well. Here at the wrist, you have some forward and back movement here at kind of the base of the wrist, and then the hand itself is just on a ball joint. With this being a transforming Zeta kit and from 1996, as you might expect, there's not any movement here in the torso, just because that's where all of our transformation is going to take place. That said, our front skirts will move up, and you do have some sort of nice detail up underneath there, but nothing really too much. The side skirts, which are actually kind of just connected onto the side of the top of the thighs, those will move up and down as well. Our back skirt will kind of move, but that's more so for the transformation, so we'll get back to that. The legs are just connected via a ball and socket joint, so there's not going to be too much rotation there for those. But you can bring the leg up to about 90 degrees, not too bad. Out to the side, only about that much, which is not a very particularly wide stance there for the Zeta Gundam. But a nice double joint there in the knee with some pretty good separation of that. That knee joint actually looks pretty good, bent up like that. This bit of armor here above the ankle moves up and down. The feet, as you might expect, again, just for the transformation, you have pretty good range movement here for these. This little bit at the back will close up like that. However, side to side at the ankles is going to be pretty limited, just kind of partially just due to the design. It has these kind of bell-bottom-like features here on the lower legs, which kind of prevent the somewhat large feet on this version of the kit to be able to move side to side very much. The back round of the legs, some nice detail here as well. That's part of the sliding gimmick there. I should slide that all the way down. And that would probably give us a little bit better range of movement here at the ankles. Should have noted that. But overall, articulation is not great, as you might expect, but it's not that bad. Let's go around here to the backpack, because here's where we have something really interesting as well, of course, with the LED. Now, I did go ahead and put the battery in there so I can turn on the LED. The switch is just underneath the stabilizer here. And when I switch this on, you can see it lights up right in there. Those clear parts catch the light pretty nicely. Now, it's not going to be very noticeable. It's quite bright in here, so let me go ahead and turn the lights down a bit. Under lower light conditions, let's take a look at that. You can see that works pretty well. The LED, it's not super bright, but it's an interesting gimmick for a 1996 Master-Grade. To have an LED gimmick like that is not bad at all. To replace the battery, all you have to do is pop this white part off and then unscrew a little screw in there, pull the battery casing out, and you can replace the battery fairly easily on it. So overall, not too bad a gimmick. It's easy to turn on and to turn off. It's easy to change out the battery, and the LED, works fairly well. That said, it's on the back of the kit, where if you had this in a display, probably you're going to have it facing forward, and the LED at the back is never ever going to be seen. That's unfortunate, but if you have it transformed, that might not be the case. So let's go ahead and get into that. Alright guys, so here is the kit transformed, and I'm not going to lie to you, the instruction manual is not that clear, and it's not that solid of a transformation. I think all in all, it doesn't look too bad once you have it transformed, but it doesn't feel very solid, and there's no built-in way to put it up on an action base, so you kind of just have to use the landing gear and have it parked. Otherwise, you have to build some sort of connection to an action base, and the same goes for the kit when it's in mobile suit mode as well. One part of the transformation I just could not figure out how to do was the side skirts, how they were meant to fold up and fold forward over like the side of the body, and I just couldn't figure out how to do it. But honestly, this is the one and only time that I'm ever going to transform it. After this, it'll be back to mobile suit mode, and that's where it will stay forever. But if you did want to have it in Wave Rider mode, and it is a really good way to show off the LED unit, it's not a bad option, but I would recommend maybe gluing a few things just to make sure everything is all, solid and sturdy and stays where it's supposed to be. And that's probably a good thing to keep in mind for the mobile suit as a whole. If you did want to have it in some sort of action pose, probably I'll just keep this in a standing pose just to be safe. And I think that's honestly just kind of how it looks the best. It does have a decent amount of articulation, considering the year it came out. And you can pull off a couple of alright poses with it, but honestly, I just think in just a standing pose, it's not a bad looking kit for how old it is. It's just in like a nice standing pose where you can just kind of enjoy just the overall look and details and proportions of the kit. And all in all, for a kit that came out 27 years ago, it's really not too bad of a Master-Grade. This is the third Master-Grade that ever came out. It's actually fifth in the line, but two of the first four were just like color variants basically. So this is essentially the third Master-Grade that Bandai ever made. I gotta say, not too bad. There's other Master-Grades I think that I've built that are worse than this. But of course, there is room for improvement, and that'll be interesting to see going forward. Next, we're going to be taking a look at the Zeta Plus C1. We'll see what improvements or changes are made with the core kit between 1996 and 2002 when that kit came out 6 years later, and then the 2.0 after that. And then ultimately with the brand new Ver.1.0 once that comes out. So it'll be interesting to see the changes. But as for this kit, I hope it was interesting for you guys, as it was definitely very interesting for me to go back and take a look at such an old Master-Grade kit. And for the Zeta Gundam not particularly being one of my favorite Gundams overall, I did enjoy this kit. I did enjoy building it, and I'm looking forward to working on it some more in the future. But for now, just want to thank you guys so much for checking out the video. If you missed the live stream build, you can go back and check that out if you're interested. And if you're interested in checking out some more Gunpla, of course, you guys can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. I don't think that this kit has been reprinted for a little while, but we've got all sorts of other different Gunpla available there for you guys. So check the link down in the video description. And thank you guys again so much for watching. If you'd also like to like and subscribe, make sure you don't miss the upcoming reviews. I'd greatly appreciate it. But until next time, guys, hope you all have a great day. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.